Welcome everybody to NFT Intel. We are glad to have you along on this Wednesday edition. We're supposed to come to you every Monday. Scheduling conflicts kind of kept us from doing that this week. And boy, I'm actually glad that they did because we have some, we've been through a whole week's worth of Solana NFT Intel action. I am here with Paul C. and Sol Dozer of the Sol Army Project Intel. Hey guys, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Kris, as always. Excited.
Yeah, we're gonna keep doing this every Monday and keep perfecting what we're doing here. So we've actually seen a pretty big Solana hack this week, and we're going to get into some nitty gritty of what we do know and what we don't know in just a little bit. But first, we're going to talk about a couple mints. We're going to talk about BigFoot Town and the past Rakkudos mint that actually minted yesterday. So let's jump right in. We're going to come to you tight here and just cut it off at 30 minutes. So stick around to hear about what we know and what we don't know about the Solana hack. But right now, I'm going to toss it over to Paul. Give us your lowdown on Rakkudos. I mean, they minted yesterday. What did we end up seeing?
Yeah, so Rakkudos did end up minting yesterday. Usually we come to you guys and bring the information in advance, but this is a little interesting this week, and there's certainly been a lot of buzz and interesting takes around Rakkudos. As a little bit of a recap of the key points that surrounding Rakkudos is the mint cost was 3.15 Sol. The mint date was yesterday, August 2nd, and then the total supply was 10,000. There was quite a bit of the supply sold in a private presale to a variety of different people, which led the actual supply going through the whitelisting and that sort of process being much smaller. It did end up minting on Magic Eden Launchpad as well. Kind of the purpose behind Rakkudos is basically taking a Web 2 company and introducing them into the Web 3 space. In summary, Rakkudos is an alliance between the Shakudo platform, which is on Web 2, and the Solana ecosystem. Shakudo has been working with is a working product with a variety of different companies that they were working with pre-mint, and those mint funds coming from Rakkudos will allegedly be going towards marketing and expanding the development team of Shakudo. These guys, one of the biggest things with moving into the Web3 space is what kind of approach do you take? And Shakudo claims that they took that NFT approach over a token due to the brandability in the power community. So moving a step further, people may be wondering, what is the utility of the Rakkudos? One of the main utilities of the Rakkudos is being part of the referral program for Shakudo as a Rakkudo holder. The Shakudo products cost a large amount as they're meant to be sent or sold to large companies and corporations, and people that are able to make successful referrals are paid commissions, and those commissions in addition are paid to the community and I guess it wasn't explicitly said DAO, but I think everyone would know what I mean if I say the DAO, or the community of Rakkudo holders. In addition, having these Rakkudos will let you stake for pre-Kudos, which will be the predecessor to that Kudos token. In addition, you can also trade in your pre-Kudos one-to-one with USD towards any of the Shakudo products. We can touch on a little bit as well, sorry, just while we're here, what Shakudo is, because that is pretty important as well. Shakudo is actually a really interesting Web 2 company. Basically, what they want to do is develop, scale, deploy, and maintain a full product and infrastructure if teams themselves that want to have a product don't have the time and effort to maintain that infrastructure. So they're bringing in those ready-made infrastructures for data and Web3 apps, allowing companies to deploy and get set up quickly with ease, which is it's a very interesting concept and will lead towards a lot more adoption to the Web3 space, hopefully.
So what does that mean in layman's terms? Like just
It's like
without their buzzy word, like what are they building?
I can answer that. They are basically building Amazon Web Services. They're helping ideas scale. So you come to them with an idea, you don't have the infrastructure, you don't have the funding or anything like that. They help you create it and mass produce it.
All right, so I'm looking here at the Rakkudos listings here on Magic Eden, and these look pretty familiar, don't you think?
They look just a smidge like OK Bears, but let's not go there.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the
I'm sure
same.
I'm sure the art creators, are tired of hearing that at this point.
Well, I mean, they did. OK Bears like came out with something that was pretty fresh. I mean, looked like Bored Ape Yacht Club. There was a bunch of ETH money that came in, and then we saw a bunch of projects, OK Tigers or Hello Tigers or Hello Panthers or some kind of Great Goats that all kind of tried to take the same meta. I think that we're seeing this right now. People are a little bit tired of it. I think that there's a great opportunity. I think there's a great opportunity here. We'll go low to high here. The floor is 629 right now, and so if somebody wants that type of somebody wants that type of NFT, it might not be a bad buy. Who knows about entry points? OK Bear's floor price has actually kind of tanked in the last couple days. I think that's just indicative of the overall ecosystem and how much money there is in it. Less today than there was yesterday, but we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Let's kind of pivot over then from Rakkudos. Rakkudos minted yesterday. They're on Magic Eden. Floor price is just over 6 Sol right now. So next thing we want to look at is BigFoot Town. What kind of info do we have on BigFoot Town? What are the mint details?
Yeah, so BigFoot Town is minting. I forget what the date was, on the 5th, so 2 days from now. 1.4 Sol for their whitelist mint, about 10,000 supply, just shy of 10,000. It's an interesting one, and I'll get to exactly how they describe themselves in a second. But at first glance, the way that they describe themselves seems to me to be a bit vague. So the way they describe themselves is that they're building the first free-to-play game DAO. And they're very specific to not call it a GameFi, where the gamers and the investors, they become game producers, apparently. I'm not exactly sure what that means, if they're producing a game or if they're looking for investors to create games that can be played by other people, which is sort of like, what's that, Roblox. But they're creating some sort of game ecosystem. The thing that worries me is that there's nothing released yet, apparently, and that really is what make or breaks gaming NFTs. So we'll see how it goes. It's in 2 days. I don't have a whole lot more on this specific one, but Paul, I think that you have some comments, right?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what you were saying, and I went through this project a little bit, and I did find it a little bit hard to wrap my head around too, what they're trying to achieve. One of the main points was they are building that free-to-play game DAO, where those early people become the game producers. So what that sounds like to me, and I apologize if I'm taking this in the wrong direction here, is that they're building a community of people that will end up producing products under this BigFoot Town. And we could see later in the roadmap, in Stage 2 roadmap, that they're releasing that first free-to-play game in Stage 2 and sharing profit, which I can assume probably is on the holders. They definitely have a lot of interesting tools that they're going to be trying to push out on their roadmaps, NFT extensions, social analytics, trading helpers, and analytics tools. with their experienced developers. So I am really, really curious to see how this goes. I also noticed in stage 1, they're trying to target the artisan keycap market, which I assume is for keyboards, which is also a new interesting take if that is the case as well.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you say so they're minting on August 5th. What is the mint price on it again?
That's 1.4
Sol. Okay, and that's for the whitelist mints. Are they planning
Yeah,
on?
that's pretty on par with gaming projects. Honestly, it might even be a bit low given the Solana USDC conversion right now. Gaming projects need a lot of money to survive because they take a long time to develop. It could be months, it could be years in some cases. So unless they have other ideas of ways to create funding down the line, they have to make that, it'll be, 14,000 Sol. They have to make that last with their developers. So it's a little concerning, but we'll see.
Yeah, we don't see a lot of game projects actually, and like you said, it could take a couple years. We don't see a lot of game projects that are using NFT fundraising as really coming out with something quickly. Like most of them can be long holds, like Yakuverse, right? Like, I mean, they have a good concept, but there's nothing really playable. We were promised the moon with portals, right? And, we were going to get all these integrations, and we're still. They have people working on it. I mean, it's going to be great at some point in time. Like something that happened last week, Pixelverse Guild minted. They already had a game in there. It's a side-scrolling game, a little fun to play. Not very original art. I don't really know much about the Pixelverse Guild. I bought a couple. I'm not a huge gamer, and I didn't really see it take off like they were expecting. So what we're looking here with BigFoot, when we're talking about raising a significant amount of money, though, is that they're minting almost 10,000. So what are our predictions, over under predictions at 1.5 Sol? Are they going to be able to mint out?
Before I answer that, I want to go back to your point of the key is that they have to create a game that's playable.
Yeah.
Not only do they have to create a game that's playable, but they have to create a game that's profitable if they want to survive. And I know right here, one of their main points that they make is that it's going to be free to play. So that's, step one, pretty scary. I don't know. Your specific question of will they mint out? Probably not. I hate to say. Maybe if they lower the mint price, it'll mint out eventually. But at the current mint, with what they have released, I don't know. I put it on the lower end of probability for a mint out.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty good indication if you're watching the market. This is like a pro tip, and Paul, you're more into like actually looking at analytics than I am. But when I see projects minting, like when I see people selling projects to get liquid for another hyped mint, you can kind of see like, okay, well, this thing might mint out. When we don't see a lot of exit liquidity in a lot of the higher projects, then it's kind of like, well, is there actually enough Sol in people's wallets to to mint out a 10,000 piece mint? I mean, I'll be watching it for sure. I think all these projects have really good intentions, and some of them are actually really cool. Do you have anything to add to that, Paul?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. Like when you ask, will it mint out? I honestly think projects in these coming days are going to have a really hard time, including Rakkudos too. I mean, like we looked at Rakkudos put through incredible amounts of volume even before they'd sold out. And then there was that huge blip where nobody was trading anything. And like, I mean, we'll touch on that in a little bit with the hack, but who can blame them? I think everyone is going to be super on edge with safety and with wallets and everything going for a few days. And I know I personally have moved all of my stuff to somewhere where I'm not planning on actively making any moves at all. So I think projects that may be minting soon don't see what they would have expected because of situations out of their control. And in addition, the other comment I do want to add about these gaming projects is they don't tend to blend too well with the ecosystem, because I think a lot of people in this ecosystem want to make that real quick return and move on to something else. But yet these projects with more ambitious goals do take time, which I would say the average person doesn't necessarily take into account, and they aren't necessarily there for that long haul to see that project reach its full potential.
Yeah, I mean, a week in the Sol NFT space is kind of like a whole month in regular years. A day is like a week. It's kind of a really bizarre space to be in sometimes, with how fast metas change. I mean, that we actually can see them happen in real time. Since we talked about the hack, we're about halfway through the program. Let's go ahead and dig into it. Just before we do, I do want to say, well, before we talk about anything, is that there is absolutely no confirmation on exactly how this hack was done. There are a lot of theories. There's some pretty good leads. It looks like there might be a smoking gun, but it's not confirmed yet that like there's actually there's actually a key exploit that's there, and you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt, because there are a lot of smart people in Solana that are working on this, and they're going to figure it out. So really quick here, we're going to take a look at just a couple of headlines here. So what ended up happening yesterday, and it's still ongoing, I think. I don't have the SolScan wallet up. Well, this is good news right here. What we're seeing on the screen is that Solana Sol token, it holds its price even though there was a hack. Basically, at sometime early afternoon, evening, a bunch of Solana wallets were ended up getting drained of Sol, Shadow, and Dust. It was pretty targeted about what was taken. Nobody's reported NFTs being taken out yet. I think that's a little too complex, for whatever the hackers were doing. Little over 8,000, somewhere between 8,000 and 9,000 wallets were affected, and I don't know what the total was in USD amount that was taken.
I saw somewhere over 5 million.
Yeah, I think it was definitely over 5 million, which in the grand scheme of cryptocurrency hacks and exploits is pretty small. But this one definitely felt like it was a lot bigger than that number.
Yeah, we started seeing reports in Discord's servers yesterday afternoon. Careful, there's a wallet drainer out there. Nobody knew what was going on, right? And, the standard things that you deauthorize apps that have access to your wallet. There's a lot of things that you can do that we should all be doing just as a matter of housekeeping, like once a week or whatnot. Like, go ahead and revoke permissions, because you can get them back next time you connect to a site or whatnot. But I was in some Discords, and people were, they're like, oh, there's a wallet drainer. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work like that. I mean, Exodus is a wallet company. We take security very seriously. And, the way that wallets work is that you actually need to sign a transaction for any money or an NFT or anything to move from your wallet. So it was kind of this mystery about how it happened. Turns out that it might be an exploit where the private key for a particular wallet and the mnemonic C phrase were leaked in plain text, which would give anybody who had it access to your wallet. I don't know. We've seen stuff in the Sol Army. I don't know if anybody else in the Sol Army was affected, but we definitely have seen a lot of people in various servers and whatnot who lost a little bit or quite a bit of money. And this is actually new for Solana. I don't think we've seen a hack like this before in Solana, have we?
We've definitely seen some, like the one that comes to mind is that wormhole hack, which I think was like $320 million back in February. So there definitely has been exploits and hacks, but I just wanted to touch on maybe why this one was a little bit more anxiety inducing. Usually these hacks are tied to like a protocol or someone approving a transaction that ends in a wallet drainer, but in this instance, it was literally funds and SPL tokens just being ripped from wallets without really a clear explanation. So trying to find what was causing this definitely caused me some anxiety, and I know it certainly did to others, which is why maybe this one felt a lot bigger than it was. I certainly, at least in my time, have not seen anything happen exactly like this, but there definitely has been hacks on protocols on Solana, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, and we've seen them on other networks too. Like I was mentioning earlier before we actually went live, like this is why we have Ethereum Classic, right? Is because, you know, the Ethereum protocol was hacked back in 2016 or 2017. I don't know. It was a while ago. But and so the fork split because some people wanted to roll it back and some people didn't. Most wallet hacks, at least that I know of, or I've had experience in helping people investigate, happen from, you know, usually the seed phrase being not stored correctly, right? They usually happen because it's stored on a computer or on a phone, or it gets sent in a text message or whatever, right? And that's devastating. I mean, every single hack is totally devastating, but this was not. Well, I can say it wasn't user error, right? Because there's somebody who definitely exploited something. Like I can tell you that, like, I went through and looked at all my wallets, and I had a seed phrase that I was using on multiple wallets, and I know better than that, right? I know that like each of my wallets should have its unique seed, and unfortunately, because of, you know, all the staking on Solana, there's a lot of things that are barriers to moving your wallets around, right? Like I give you an example. Like I have a shadowy supercoder who is staked, right? And it earns shadow all the time. But there's a token that sits in your wallet, and if you move the token, well, with the shadowy supercoder, you get a reward for keeping it staked for 12 months in a row. If you move that token, you lose that potential reward. So there's a lot of friction, I think, that needs to be overcome so people can manage their wallets securely. And then there's things like auto approve. If you're watching this, if you have auto approve on anything, please turn it off. You're literally giving, you know, whoever you hit your wallet with a transaction, the right to just take money out of your wallet without you actually looking at the transaction and signing it. So this is a good wake-up call for everybody to look at what their security practices are and try to make them a little more robust. Look at your wallets, you know, look at, you know, what wallets have access to, because you can never really, like, this is like, if you're your own bank, the hardest part is to be bank-like security. And this was an eye-opener the last couple of days. And like you said, Paul, it's not like, you know, it affected like 8,000 to 9,000 people. But everybody who has a Sol wallet was panicking yesterday.
Definitely. It was a pretty interesting day for sure. Especially as more and more info would kind of roll out and people were pointing fingers all over the place. There were quite a few protocols that were like, oh, it's their fault. And then it wasn't. Yeah, it was certainly an anxiety-inducing day all around. And if there's one key takeaway from yesterday, it is to really brush up on that security stuff. And if you do not have a hardware wallet yet, I would certainly recommend using yesterday as, I guess, proof as to why that certainly is a really, really good thing to have, most notably because that seed phrase and those private keys are stored completely externally. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe I am. So, I mean, that's definitely the safest way to be going about stuff everywhere. And I stayed up incredibly late making sure I was tight across all the different blockchains, because this was a big wake-up call for me, and I myself was pretty sloppy in some circumstances as well.
Yeah, that's I did the same thing. I moved a bunch of stuff over to a hardware wallet. Hardware wallets are, I mean, I've been in the crypto game a long time, and you know, we at Exodus introduced Trezor integration about 3 years ago, I think, which means that you can use your Exodus interface and access or have a watch-only version of what your Trezor hardware wallet. If you could think of like Ledger Live, right? Except it's native inside Exodus. It looks exactly like the rest of the browser. We don't have that on our browser extension. Trezor doesn't support Sol. The hardware wallet now that supports Sol is Ledger. You know, obviously yesterday is good business for them, but hardware wallets are actually only as safe because the keys are offline. They are cold wallets, but they're only as safe as you use them. So I would recommend, if you move things to a hardware wallet, don't use it as your daily driver, right? Because you're going to press that button on a transaction at some point in time, and if you're not reading it, it could still drain your wallet, right? You don't want to be using it as kind of your everyday. Your hardware wallet is a cold wallet for a reason, right? It's not you're not giving it access to things all the time. However, it is better for keeping large amounts of money on. Like, I would never tell anybody that they should keep any money, more money than they're comfortable losing on a hot wallet. I mean, and that includes Exodus. I mean, there's lots of crypto wallets out there. There's lots of good choices, but that is the fact that, like, if anything happens, and you get, and your seed gets out there, things like yesterday can happen, and it happened on a pretty large scale. Yeah, there's not a lot that we know. I had a lot of sites up here to put up that we could talk about, but I don't want to actually point any fingers, because there's already been a ton of fingers pointed. Like I said earlier, there's so many smart people looking into this. And another thing is, like, I don't know how somebody moves that much Sol, like, to cash out anything. I mean, I don't know, unless they're going to buy a ton of NFTs, but still, once they do that, right, like, you could change the royalties on an NFT pretty easily. So this is a developing story, and it's ongoing, and maybe by next Monday we might actually have clarification on exactly how it happened.
We might have that smoking gun you were talking about.
Yeah, we might have.
I'm sure we'll be talking about it more next Monday.
I mean, it's funny because crypto Twitter is crypto Twitter, especially in Solana, and exactly like Paul said, fingers were getting pointed everywhere, and it's not good.
Exactly.
It's not good for anybody to do that. So, my condolences out there to anybody who had funds stolen. It's just about one of the worst feelings that you can get when you look at your wallet and everything's gone. And if you do, I think didn't you mention there was something on SolScan, Sol Dozer, where you can put, if you were hacked, you can go ahead and put your wallet in. Let me see if I can actually find it and put it up here.
There was at least the three SolScan links that I saw of the hackers' wallets. SolScan put up a notification saying that those wallets were blacklisted, and they gave a link to a form you could fill out where you could give your information. I think it was just like your wallet, or your public wallet, and then maybe some other information. I don't know. I was fortunate enough to not be one of the hacked, so I didn't fill it out. But there's definitely something on there. It looks very unusual compared to other SolScan pages.
Excellent. Yeah, I saw something similar to that. Again, I didn't have them put up for the show, but I probably should have snagged them and popped them up for everybody just as a resource. If I can find them, I'll go ahead and put them in the description for the link. There's one thing that I want to do here. I didn't get it done last time, is our little like and subscribe button. We come to you every Monday. Hit that bell so you can get your NFT Intel before everybody else gets it. Hey guys, we're up against our 30-minute time. Next week, I think we're going to be bringing you, next Monday, we'll bring you a Spaces hosted on the Project Intel Twitter page. You should go there and follow it right now so you can get all the updated notice on Project Intel 2. Also, there's something that you guys, didn't you guys announce something today as far as Project Intel goes?
Yeah, I've got a few things I want to say just before we close off.
Yeah.
I know earlier this week when we had made this plan, we did want to talk about one more mint based, which is minting tomorrow. Unfortunately, as we have run out of time, we won't be able to touch on it today, but one of the co-founders from the Sol Army, General Sol, is jumping on Spaces for AMA, I believe, with Based in a half an hour. So I would tune into that if you are interested in hearing more about one of the other really hot and interesting mints this week, Based. And then touching on our other announcement, we actually did make a choice earlier today to sort of support the people that may have been affected by this hack. What we wanted to do and wanted to offer was free access to our daily and notable mint bots until the successful completion of the Project Intel rebrand and our web dash launch. Those will be coming relatively soon, so that's a little bit of the alpha of what we're doing with Project Intel. And if you want to get access to that free daily mints and notable mints bot, you can check us out on our Twitter for some instructions on how to do that, or join the Sol Army Discord and head to the channel called Free Intel and react with that key react to get access to that info and intel.
Excellent. Good. Guys, thanks. Always trying to, the Sol Army's heavy on education. You know, they align very well with Exodus. If you would like any tips on increasing your security, go to exodus.com, hit up our knowledge base, send us an email at support@exodus.com and ask any question you want. Even if it's something as ludicrous as, does pineapple belong on pizza? Right? Somebody will answer you, and they'll probably answer you pretty darn quickly. I had these Project Intel slides popped up here, and I was over here looking for the Exodus browser so I could pop you over there, but it's exodus.com. I'll put a link in the description. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You've heard the intel. Now go out and use it. And until next time, hold NFT on. I almost said hold on. NFT on. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you next week.